I'm also going to put my screen share controls in the other monitor, so I can just make sure that nothing is being blocked on my main screen, right? Okay, I'm just confirming all of you can see this title, right? You can say my name and it says, I like design a lot. Everybody can see this? I just want to confirm. Okay, cool. All right. So first, quick introduction. I have a general approach how I do anything, whether it's a workshop, a Q&A, a webinar, it doesn't matter. I have one structure that I modify just a little bit. So first of all, I don't have rules. I have just some basic guidelines that I'd like you to follow for the next couple of hours. So the reason for I do this is I also want to try and understand who all of you are as designers, how you think, how you ask questions. So that's why I do it like this. The idea is that even though this is a webinar and this is going to be very strongly Q&A based, this allows me to get to know you, even just in a chat window. This is not a lecture. It's going to be discussion. We're going to be doing a lot of interactive back and forth. I'm going to be taking you through a lot of exercises. I'm going to be asking you to think a lot, answer a lot of questions. I'm not just going to be doing a monologue to you. I'm not going to be performing a play or acting. I'm going to have to ask you to think, ask you to research. I'm going to get you to actually do some exercises so I can start getting you to think like designers. I can't see your faces, so you can ignore the nodding heads. Normally, I also have, even on online classes, I also see people's faces. But even I know behind wherever you're sitting, your heads will be doing this because that's just what a lot of students do. That's not going to help you. I'm going to be expecting lots of questions. So I'm glad that you're all very communicative. And like I said, we're just going to be doing a lot of applicable exercises. And if we were in class, we would be moving on to like physical prototyping, but that's okay. Don't worry about it. Basically, if you help me, I'm going to help you. And if I'm going to help you, I want you to help me. And now you all become better designers and I become a better teacher and get a better understanding of communication because I understand who you are as students and people. Also, if you've not seen this movie is Jerry Maguire. It's very good. It's from 1998 to 97. It's very old now. So it's like 20 years ago. It's an excellent movie. All right. So a quick introduction, even though Nian gave you. So I was previously the games team lead at 3 Interactive. So I managed 3 Interactives, all their games portfolio. I also released a game called Ironbird from scratch. It was an combat game. I'll share it with you later. You can check it out. I also have worked at Luxury Digital, where I did a lot of client and outsourcing projects. I also taught at Pearl Academy, and I have also taught classes in many other places, including I have been teaching now at Ecole since February. So it's been quite a while. And I, in fact, will be continuing my classes there from next month onwards. I've also taught full-time for 2 years, and I've done workshops and taught at multiple universities and colleges for the last few years. Like Nian said, I went back to a game design program for a year. This is critical for me just because I started at Luxury. So I started learning about design in the industry. I did not have a formal education in design. And after my first 2 years in the industry at Luxury Digital, I realized that I was like, oh, I don't know anything about design or game design, communication design. But games was what my main interest was. So I went to the game design program for a year, and many of the things I learned there are still a part of my normal process. I was also Immersive Arts Studio, which Nian mentioned again, is a small independent studio that's in Green Park, which is in South Delhi. It's a small boutique studio working on a very specific game, very, very complex PC strategy game that was set during World War II. And I did a lot of design, game design, mechanics design, system design, research, implementation. So it was a tremendous learning for me because I worked on an incredibly large-scale, complex project and product. So I've learned a lot on that product. Okay. So we're going to immediately start off we're going to immediately start off with an exercise. So, newspaper, magazine, any kind of print mechanism, newspaper, screens that you use on a daily basis, laptop, tablets, phones, desktop monitors, and screens, TVs, right? So here is my first question to all of you. And we're immediately starting. And you can answer in Q&A, you can answer in the chat. What is common to each of these 5 things that I have put up on this slide? What do you think is common to all 5 of these things that you see on screen? And there is no right or wrong answer here. This is not an exam. This is not a test. I'm not testing your memory or anything. I want to just understand what it is that you think this question means and why do you think I'm asking this. Okay, rectangular form, that's interesting. Sharing knowledge or data, that's good. Communication, yes. Images and text, okay. We can interact with them. Information like text and images. Keep going. All ways to get information, source of information. You're all correct. These are all really good answers. They're all screens. They're all rectangulars or squares. They're all about information. It's all about a display form. So all these answers are correct. So, and I just realized, my bad, I have misplaced one slide. Whoops. I have one slide in the wrong place. So can you give me 1 second? I have missed one slide in my presentation. Something you're going to learn about being a designer is that once in a while, you are going to forget something and you have to fix it. And so let me fix it here. Let me just take this away, quickly put in the slide that needs to be in. That's my desktop screen. So for those of you who don't know who this character is on my desktop monitor, that's a character named Mirana. She's from a game I play called Dota 2, and you can ignore all my icons. So apologies, I missed something in that slide. I'm just fixing it. So give me 1 second and we will resume this presentation. And you are getting a live demonstration of what happens when you make a mistake. And you have to quickly fix it for your clients or for your projects. And then you have to all right. So just to confirm, everyone can see these again? Yes? Okay, good. So we were here. So most of you have got the right answer. All those things share some combination of these 4 elements. Some of you said information, some of you said communication, some of you said display form, some of you said interaction, some of you images and text. It's actually all of these things. All forms of communication today are happening either on print, on screen, it's either interactive or it's in some sort of display form. And no matter whether it's a public space, a private space, for example, your phones, it could be a piece, it could be a game on a Nintendo Switch. It could be a book, right? It could be different kinds of books, different kinds of products. It could also be a physical device like a game controller. It could be a phone charger. It could be a piece of tape, The point is that every single thing that you interact with on a daily basis has some kind of purpose or form or shape or communication that it is trying to reach. So that thing, and it will utilize, and all forms of design today uses some combination of these 4 elements, at least to do with the kind of courses that all of you will be going in, where you're trying to communicate a visual or an auditory or a textual or an interactive piece of communication to your intended audience. So one of the things you're going to have to start thinking about and start researching and start deconstructing and start analyzing is that, first of all, who is the audience that you're trying to communicate with? What is your communication medium or portal with them? What is it that you're trying to convey? What form do you want to convey that communication in? What knowledge or communication are you trying to tell them? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it happy? Is it sad? What's the emotional context What is the system of communication? What is the medium of communication? What is the limit? All very critical questions that you will get better and better at with time and learning. But there are a few critical, practical elements that I want you to think about, especially when it comes to digital formats. We're going to focus on digital formats first because digital formats are now the most mass media communication systems available today. So one of the most practical things I want you to think about is screen resolutions. Now, whether you're on a phone, whether you're on a desktop, whether you're on a laptop, whether you're on a TV, whether you're on a giant digital billboard, whether you're on a tiny, tiny screen. For example, this is my AC remote. My AC remote also has a tiny digital display that gives me critical information like what is the speed my AC is running at, what mode is it in, what temperature is it in, right? And even a tiny, tiny screen like that has to, the designer for that screen, the engineer for this screen, the programmer for this device, has to think about the practicality of what is the quality of the screen that is in this device and what is the highest possible resolution that this device can display information, what is the space available. So this is a quick exercise we're going to do now. All of you have phones, correct? We're going to do another exercise. We're going to do regular exercises because I want you to of thinking and working and researching like designers. All of you have phones, correct? So I want all of you to take 5 minutes, find out exactly your phone model. And what I want you to do is I want you to Google your phone model. I want you to tell me your exact model screen resolution. I want you to tell me your screen models like battery power. How long does it take to charge? Basically, get your phone specifications. What is your phone's screen resolution? What's the size of your phone screen? How many inches or centimeters? And I also want you to find out, we'll discuss resolution in a bit more, and I also want to find out your phone's aspect ratio. And we'll discuss aspect ratios later as well. But your first exercise is take your phone or your laptop. If you prefer using a laptop, I'm fine with either, but I think let's do your phone first because that's the most common communication device. So we're going to take 5 minutes, Google your phone, get me your phone screen resolution and screen size in terms of inches or centimeter, either is fine, and put them in the chat. I'd like to see how quickly it takes all of you to find this information about your device. So take 5 minutes. There's no rush. I'm giving you 5 minutes. There's plenty of time to get this information about your phone. Find the hardware and screen technical specs for your phone right now. Go. Don't wait for me. Just go start researching and put them in chat. I'm curious to see. And I also want to know what phone you're on and what your phone model, specific phone model is, and put your screen resolution, put your screen size. Shreya, if you just tell me screen size, what is that? Centimeters or inches? And is it width? Is it height? What is that? What does 17.02 mean here? I don't know what that number means. So be specific. This is the other thing about being designers. You have to be as specific as possible. The more specific your information, the more specific your research, the better your work will be. Get the most possible accurate information about your phone. So phone name, phone model, phone screen resolution, and phone screen size. Get me these 4 pieces of information. And in fact, I'll tell you what, I'm going to put myself on mute. It is 10:27. I will give all of you till 10:35 to find this information, and then we will resume. So it is 10:27. Everyone, 10:35 will resume. I'm going to mute myself so I can give all of you some time to find this info. Go. See, does my message to host and panelists go to everyone in chat? Can the students see it also?
No, you have to select everyone.
I have to select everyone. Okay, because the only options I'm getting is host and panelists, Ecole Intuited Lab, Delhi, and
Can
me
you
and
check now?
Sal.
Can you check now or just allowed?
I'm not seeing the option for everyone.
Uh,
Just confirming with all the students. Can you see what I've written in chat? I'm just confirming.
no, I don't think so. They have.
I don't think so, right?
Yeah. Can you in the chat box
Oh,
select?
I got it now. Now it's giving me the option for everyone. I got it now.
Yeah.
I'm just putting down what information I'm expecting at minimum for all your devices. So those of you who want a written format, but don't worry about the format. Basically, get me these 5 pieces of information, and I'll wait 5 minutes for everyone. What all of you are doing right now is called research. One of the things you're going to discover as you learn more and more about design, as you go deeper into your both UG and PG programs, how critical research is to no matter what field of design or create you are in. Arguably the most important part of like how do you start working on any project or product is your research. All right, so it's 10:30. I'm going to wait till 10:35, then we'll resume. So and we will discuss these details. I'm going to ask you some questions on these details that you're finding. There's a reason I'm asking into this exercise. So 5 minutes, we'll resume. I'll just wait till everyone is done. Pooja, you're going to have to do better than that. You can't just give me a phone model. I want the details, please. The more details about your phones, the better. Don't be lazy, anyone. As much detail as possible about your phone. I'll be back in 5 minutes. Okay, a bunch of phones are coming in. So we have an iPhone 16 Pro, resolution, aspect ratio, screen size, Samsung A35, Samsung M34. Some of you found screen processors, CPUs, that's good. 16.73, Oppo A96, iPhone 14. A nothing phone. Agreed, what is a nothing phone? This is the new model. Pratush, I don't need a serial number. That's too specific. We don't need to go to that level of detail. Just the model, the 5 or 6 critical things that I listed. Okay, I'm starting to see a lot of details. Display size. So a lot of your phones are either around 16 to 17 centimeters, which is roughly about 6 to 7 inches. So most looks like virtually all phones today seem to be between screen sizes or display sizes are between 6 to 7 inches. Very high resolution screen resolutions. So like if they're not 1080p, they're 2K, very large aspect ratios, right? 20 to 9, 19.9, 19.5 by 9, 18 by 9, 19.5 by 9, right? 120 hertz refresh rate, screen size, 17 Android version 14. Okay, it's good to see that you're all getting this information. Now, the reason I've asked you all to get this information is let's ask some critical questions about every single one of these phones to all of you. First of all, what do you think is maybe the most important aspect of all these devices that you're seeing between, and look at the chat window, by the way, and all of your fellow students, both UG and PG students, all the phones and different devices you're seeing. You're seeing certain commonalities, like resolutions are very similar, aspect ratios are very similar, screen sizes are very similar, right? But are you noticing like there is a certain standardized, like technical specifications that all phones need? But because all these resolutions and aspect ratios are subtly different, it means that you have to customize and design your products for these screens, whether it's phones or any other devices that you work on. You need to take into account what is the actual physical amount of space available to you that you can display information on, right? That's why we're discussing why we're doing the actual, I'm asking you to do the actual technical research into devices. So you have limited screen space. Different devices have some devices have islands. For example, I don't like islands. That's why I'm on a OnePlus. This island is very small. And my setting is that I don't like this island to show up. Whereas on iPhones, the island is very prominent. These subtle differences between different manufacturers, different design rules, different specifications is something you as designers need to know, because you need to understand the practicality and the technicalities of your tools that you will be working with and the tools you will be communicating with. Because if you don't account for these, your work is not going to look good. So, okay. Now, sir, first of all, what are the most common things that you are seeing between all of this technical, between everyone's phones? And secondly, what do you think is maybe the most critically important aspect of this information that all of you have researched and put into the chat? What is it that you are noticing in all this information? Now, I understand that the screen resolution and aspect ratios are very similar, but of all the information being shown, what else do you think is very critically important in a portable device like a phone to consumers? So I'm asking you, by the way, I'm going to pick someone random from this list. So one of you put something down in chat. If not, I will pick a random name and ask you to put something down. Of all this information that you're seeing, which do you believe is the most important aspect? What is you are getting from this technical information? Okay. Usability, user experience. What do you mean by that? Okay, an Android phone with similar sizes, aspect ratio. So two of you said user experience and usability. Can you put a few? That's a little large. It's a little vague. Be more specific. Preferences. Okay, Samya, I like what you've said there. So let's go from what Samya said. What you're seeing is every single one of you has a slightly different phone, has a slightly different screen quality, has a slightly different screen resolution, has a slightly different aspect ratio. More importantly, do all of your phones have the same battery life? Yes or no? No, right? So so now what we're learning is that the critical information that you were researching, now you found the most critical technical specifications, but maybe the most important aspect of research is, especially for portable devices, is what is the battery power? Because what is the limited amount of time that any user can spend on any device with the battery? So you found the first group of technical specifications, but that's just the technical aspects of the product. Now, all of you said usability, all of you said preferences, and those are excellent answers, because now you're finding that for each of you, when you made your decisions, when all of you were buying these phones, were they gifts or were you involved in the purchase of these phones? What was the kind of information you were looking for in these phones before you bought them? What kind of information were you researching? I'm asking again, all of you. I have no interest in being a monologue. Come on. When you were thinking about buying these phones and you were involved in the process of buying these phones, what kind of information were you looking at? Okay, you were looking at battery life. You were looking at processor. What else were you looking at? Price. Yep, price is important. The Bangsu is very important. You're looking at camera quality. You're looking at durability. Okay, camera. Or kya? Keep going. There's going to be more things. By the way, I keep looking left is because all of your chat is on my screen while my presentation is this screen. Right now, I'm talking to all of you, so that's why I'm looking at my other monitor. Storage. Okay, some of you were looking at storage. Why is storage important to you, Adishri, Vedanshi? By the way, if I'm mispronouncing any name, do let me know. So Hridanshi and Aditri, why is storage important to you? Okay, more people with storage. Anya, Aditya, you wanted a large screen, a good speaker, a photo and video quality, and a within budget. Okay. Battery charging speed. Yeah, Soumya, when I purchase portable devices, it's the battery life is not as important for me. For example, its battery charging speed is far more important for me, right? Because if I can just keep my phone or my Nintendo Switch, like, easily charged. Apologies for the green screen. If I keep my Nintendo Switch easily charged or keep my game controller charged, right? Yeah, so battery recharging process is very, very important for me. Yeah, fast charging. Cam quality. Okay. So let's talk a lot about every single one of you has said camera and storage. I'm an artist, so clicking photos, so you wanted good storage. Okay. Let's talk about camera quality and storage because these are the two most common things that almost all of you have said. Why is camera quality important to all of you? What's the reason? And don't just tell me because you like putting photos on Instagram or TikTok or whatever it is. I mean, I'm on Instagram too, even though I post only once, like every 2 years. Why is camera quality and storage important to you when you were researching your phones or purchasing your devices? So references for your projects. Okay. Samya, what is your hobby? Your hobby is taking photos. References for your art project, Shreya. Okay. Hridanshu, use a lot of apps, so you click photos and edit videos. Okay. So you like to take screenshots. It should be easy to take screenshots, all right? We're going to talk about screenshots for a very important reason. Photography. You make music videos, so that's why camera quality. All right, okay. What are the reasons? All of you have said camera quality and storage. I want more reasons why good camera quality means good memories for my future self. Okay, Varun, that's really good. So you have a very strongly emotional reason you wanted good camera quality because you wanted a lot of very high quality memories, like at high resolution for your future self. I think that's a really good reason. What else? That's a good answer, Varun. What are the reasons for all of you? Did you want good camera quality and large storage? Come on, these can't be the only reasons. How many of you just like taking good, pretty photos and reels and putting them on some sort of social media? Be honest, it's okay. I like to put up stuff on Instagram too. The reason I'm asking all of this is now all of you are answering questions from a consumer perspective. You're giving me, for example, Varun's response of good camera quality means good memories. That's a very critical, emotional reason that Varun wants a good camera. Samya saying I try to collect tiny details like pollen, so the quality I need and a good zoom value. Okay, so right. So best quality helps capture finer details like textures, facial features, background. Okay, see, right now we're getting into your consumer mindset, into the user mindset. As good designers, this is the kind of research information you need to be doing. And this is how the process starts. The process of research always starts with what is your medium and what are the technical specifications for that medium? Because the technical specifications of your tool determines what kind of features you can give your users. And because the kind of features you can give your users, it means you can engage with critical, emotional, or communication methods with your potential users or audience. Built-in app protection settings, recording and clicking things, and really hang, right? So all of you are giving me technical reasons, but for emotional outcomes, right? For example, Varun said he wants a good camera quality because he wants to make good memories. That's a deeply emotional reason for a powerful technical feature, right? One of the strongest reasons that iPhones remain some of the most expensive, but also some of the most popular cameras on the market even today, even though they're insanely expensive, is because their camera quality is outstanding. Their video recording quality is extremely high resolution. And it's maintained almost flawlessly for years and years and years, and you can access it anytime you want, right? So this process that you've just been through in the last 10 minutes, you run technical research. for your medium, right? You've looked at your phones and said, what's the quality of my phone or the technical specifications of phone? Which then what you've done is you've taken a second step. Now, hang on. Now that you've got all the technical specs, but what are actually the most important features to you, both as designers and users? Then I asked you, okay, you've told me what the most important features are. Why are those features important to you? Now you're giving me the actual reason you wanted you have your specific phones, because you were looking either for reasons of price, you were looking for reasons of quality, you were looking for reasons of storage, you were looking for reasons of performance. These are the actual emotional engagement points that you as designers have to identify. If you can understand your own internal thought process for why did I choose this product? How much did I want to pay for it? Why am I going to use it? How long am I going to use it for? What are the primary reasons I'm using it for? And what am I going to learn from this, right? This is you doing research like designers, thinking like designers, asking questions like designers, and now you're establishing the most critical job that a designer has, which is, yeah, मेरे user को क्या करना? By the way, everyone speaks Hindi. I just want to make sure. Is everyone here a Hindi speaker? If not, I will stick to English. I want to make sure there's no one here who's from a non-Hindi speaking city or state, because I do a lot of webinars for like pan India. So I want to just make sure. Asim, can you confirm if everyone here also speaks Hindi? I want to make
Yes,
sure
I
that I
think
don't.
I think most of them speak Hindi.
Is there, okay, then I'll just change the question. Is anyone here who's from primarily a non-Hindi speaking state or city? I want to make sure that I don't say anything in Hindi and they don't understand it. Anyone? No? Okay. If someone it comes from a non-Hindi speaking state or city, let me know. That's fine. I'll stick permanently to English. So, okay. So Kanya, if you're comfortable with Hindi, but if anyone at any point who does not come from who comes from a non-Hindi family or city or state, and there's something you don't understand if I say it in Hindi, let me know and I'll make sure that I repeat it in English. So मेरा main point है कि you have a lot of love for your iPad. It's more important to get an iPad than get a phone laptop. No, Shreya, same principle, right? There's a very specific emotional reason आपको iPad चाहिए था, right? And it's the same for all of you. किसी को कैमरा की क्वालिटी है, किसी को बैटरी पावर है, किसी के लिए प्राइस इंपॉर्टेंट. But my point is, all of you have found the single emotional reason you wanted that product. So as designers, it is now your responsibility to communicate that feature to. So if you were a market of one, Shreya, for example, if you were a market of one, the designer who made the iPad or the engineer, well, Aditya, unfortunately, I don't speak 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 languages. I speak 2 and understand a third a little bit. So, European languages ko chodo. The point is, I just want to confirm that no one here was coming from a non-Hindi state. That's all. So the fact is, now that you've discovered your emotional reasons for why you wanted these phones, now you know that if I was an engineer or a designer who was making these phones, now I know how to communicate my phone to Aditya. I know how to communicate about my phone's features to Shreya. I know how to communicate my phone's features to Sukanya or to Varun, to whoever it is. I have now discovered through research why you wanted my phone, what is important to you and critical to you on it. And now that I've identified my audience and the different reasons they want my product, I can now advertise or communicate my product to you in different ways. And it will possibly result in a purchase. So I'm doing my job as a designer. I'm researching, I'm asking questions, I'm understanding the technical aspects, I'm understanding the feature aspects, I'm understanding the emotional aspects. So a lot of what you'll be doing, design, is who am I making this design product for? That design could be physical, analog, digital, doesn't matter. Mechanical, technological, online, offline, irrelevant. Building hai, architecture hai, museum hai, website hai, game hai, it doesn't matter. Point is, हर डिजाइन के फील्ड में रिसर्च, क्वेश्चंस पूछो और रिसर्च करो, critical emotional reasons ढूंढो. So let's move forward now. That's exercise 1. So I asked you to get this information, but what does resolution even mean in terms of technical details? And now we're going to deep dive a little bit more into technical elements and then come back to design and thinking. So very basically, high resolution means more pixels, so more space and detail on your phone. Low resolution means less pixels, so less space. Basically, this gives you a rough idea of different resolutions if you see it on a device. The vast majority of desktops, laptops, and many like cheaper smartphones are still on 1080p, right? So 1080p, which is 16:9 aspect ratio, which we'll discuss in a second. All of you use YouTube on a daily basis, correct? What is the most common HD resolution in YouTube? Can everyone tell me right now in chat? It's 1080p, right? YouTube has 2 billion unique visitors every single day. So every single day, there are, if you have the data and your internet is running fine, almost 2 billion people are watching 1080p videos in the planet. 2 billion people, by the way, is 1/4 of the world's population. So 1/4 of the world's population is watching either 720p or 1080p videos, because 1080p is the basic box standard definition for most screen devices globally. Right? For most videos, that is the most basic resolution. So it's critical that you as designers, because the reality is most of you or many of you will be working on digital screens. So having a detailed understanding of screen resolutions, screen sizes, and aspect ratios for all digital work. It doesn't matter what platform it is. Now, some of you also found aspect ratios for your devices. Why are aspect ratios important? This is why aspect ratios are important. Because different screens means different aspect ratios. It is basically, aspect ratio is literally what is the width of your screen and the ratio to the height of your screen, right? So smartphones, videos, old school TVs and monitors, which are still used in specific, for example, my AC remote. This is a 4:3 screen. This is a very low resolution, very low aspect ratio device, but it's still a specific kind of aspect ratio and screen resolution that needs to be respected. No matter what type of industry you are in, the reality of today's digitally connected world is that there will be some screen of some aspect ratio and some screen resolution that you have to make your work for. This is just a quick snapshot, right? And you have HDTVs here, monitors, laptop screens, cinema screens, super wide cinema screens. You have ultra wide monitors. You have phones, you have tablets. By the 4:3 aspect ratio, the SDTV one, almost every single tablet, the majority of tablets today, iPads, Android tablets, whatever other tablets are 4:3. So with the 4:3, even though it's a very old aspect ratio that old TVs used to use, this has become the common aspect ratio for tablet devices. And you also have now a new kind of portable devices. This is my Nintendo Switch screen. I've removed the side devices, but this is also 16:9. My phone is 19:9. So aspect ratios are also critical to understand, because you need to know exactly what is the width of height and width ratio that you need to design your product for, your content for. So we're going to, guess what? We're going to do another exercise. All of you have a TV, a laptop, a tablet, and a phone in your homes. Do you have all 4 of these devices in your homes? Do all 4 of you, even if you don't? Okay, one more thing, by the way. Sir is my father or my grandfather. Vikram is fine. I know all of you are used to saying sir, but I'm in my classes, you're going to have to learn to use my name. So we're going to do another exercise. You're going to take your 4 devices, and in fact, let me put the notes down in chat. Look at the tablet, phone, TV, and monitor, or any other screen-based device in your house, and find out what its aspect ratio, find out what their aspect ratios are. So get me 4 different devices, screen-based devices in your home. I don't care what those devices are, just pick 4 different screen-based devices in your home take 5 to 10 minutes, Google, I want their aspect ratios, whether your TV, your laptop, your phone, your tablet. These are probably going to be the four most common devices. With some of you on desktop, that works too. That's okay. I'm in fact talking to you from a desktop monitor and a laptop monitor right now. So I have two for example, my laptop and my desktop are both 16:9 aspect ratio. But my desktop is 1080p and has a 120 hertz refresh screen. But my laptop can go up to 2K screen resolution, but has a 60 hertz refresh rate. So my desktop monitor is lower max screen resolution, but the same aspect ratio, but a higher screen refresh rate. Whereas my laptop is a higher max resolution, same aspect ratio, but lower screen refresh rates, right? So you have all these little things that you need to keep in mind. There's specific reasons why I think, but right now, and I'll explain why we are discussing aspect ratios later. But first, take 10 minutes. It's 10:55. Take 5 to 10 minutes. I want you to specify aspect ratio and what device are you giving me the aspect ratio for. So for example, if your laptop is 16:9, I want you to say laptop 16:9, right? So in fact, I'll tell you how I'm answering. So my laptop is 16:9. My desktop is 16:9. My phone is 18.5:9. My tablet is 4:3. And finally, my Switch, my Nintendo Switch is also 16:9. So these are like the 5 screen-based devices I have in my home. And these are the aspect ratios I have. I want you to get me the aspect ratios for at least 4 devices in your home right now. Let's see how good your research skills are, and then we'll discuss why we're talking about aspect ratios. So take 5 to 10 minutes. It's 10:55. There's no rush. So take 5 to 10 minutes, and let's see what information you find and why, and we'll discuss why that's relevant soon. Okay, I'm going to mute myself. Take your time. And feel free to ask any questions in chat. Hi, can I just confirm, can all of you see my aspect ratio slide? Pooja, you can't see this? Okay, Pooja, can you reconnect to the call? And can you just disconnect and then reconnect to the call and see if you can see my slide? Everyone else, if you can see it, just continue with the research. Pooja, reconnect and tell me if you can see it. If you can't see it, then we'll see if we can find a solution with the same. Okay, so Siddeshwar, 19.5:9 to phone, 16:9 to your laptop, 16:9 for your laptop, TV 16:10. Okay, you have a slightly older TV. Oh, last one is tablet. Okay, Siddeshwar, your tablet is 16:10. That's interesting. Tablet 4:3, phone 22:9. Shreya, do you have an iPhone? 22:9 phone. No, what phone is what model is your phone, Shreya? Oh, you have a PlayStation Portal, Pratush. 16:9, also 16:9. Okay. Sorry, I'm seeing a screenshot from Asim. Is that screenshot from you?
Yes, this is for Pooja if she cannot see the screen.
Okay. Let me also download the screen. Oh, Devanshu, you have a Steam Deck. Nice. Yeah, the Steam Deck, are you seeing what a slightly different screen version? But we'll discuss aspect ratio in a second. Okay, Pooja, it's visible. So it looks like it was just a Zoom problem. That's good. Okay, keep going. I'm going to take a quick 2-minute break. I will be right back. So all of you get the aspect ratios. And if you want the screen resolutions for these at least 4 devices in your home, I'll be right back in 2 minutes. Sorry, I'm back. I just needed some pani. Okay, so I can see that people are been getting. Okay, so have any of you, here's a simple question. Have any of you ever actually taken 5 minutes and researched all your screen devices, aspect ratios, and resolutions before? Have any of you done this before today? Nope. Soumya's being honest, saying nope. Agram is saying no. Pratush is saying no. Siddeshwar, no. Okay. Have we learned something new about the devices that we use on an everyday basis now? Okay, so first of all, you learned something new. Second, why do you think I have specifically asked you to research just this basic technical specs of your devices today? Why do you think this is important? Why do you think I very, very specifically asked all of you to do this? What reasons do you think exist? Why? To understand consumer needs. Okay, that's one. Two, what else? That's a good answer, Pratush. There's many, many reasons. There is no wrong answer. Okay. So whatever, why do you think I'm asking you to do this? Just the most fundamental research. One is consumer needs. That's a good answer. Keep going. What other reasons could there be? Consumer needs is just one thing. What other reasons are there? Yeah, basics are also very important. I'm asking why do you think they're important? We'll be using, and this will bring us in the habit of picking the correct one in the future. Yeah, that could be a reasons also. So you understand. Yeah, Aditya, that's also a good answer because, and maybe the most important, I think Aditya's and Pratush have hit upon maybe the two most important reasons. One is who are the people you are making your products for? It doesn't matter what the products are, and what are the options available to you. You have to take these technical details into account because these technical details determine how you will design your product, what your users will see. Have any of you ever seen a video that was rendered like any video or product that did not fit the screen or the TV correctly? It was either off or there were borders and blocking it or cutting it off, or it was too big and it was going off screen as well. So the edges of whatever you were using were getting cut off. Right? It's a very frustrating experience. Then that's something you're watching on a screen, whether it's YouTube vids or whether it's like normal videos, any kind of visual or interactive product that doesn't fit the screen, right? For example, have you ever connected your laptop or desktop, like, through an HDMI cable to like say a big TV? And for some reason, the screen share, it's fine on your laptop or desktop, but it's not fine on your TV. Yeah, it happens with Instagram and iPads, right? Instagram is really weird on tablets, on Square devices, and it's also very weird on desktop, right? Instagram feels very odd when you're not looking at it on a phone because it's very explicitly designed for phones. But the point is, even the most basic technical research is critical to being a good designer. Because you need to, it doesn't matter if you're asking questions if you don't know what the details of the platform you're designing for. It doesn't matter if it's print or if it's digital. It doesn't matter if it's a magazine, because even magazines have specific sizes. For example, newspapers and magazines have a specific layout. Certain areas can be printed on, certain areas cannot, right? And a lot of what we know as graphic design the rules were established and understanding how to print on paper and books and magazines and newspapers. So those of you who go into visual communication, illustration, graphic design, aspect ratios and screen resolutions don't just apply to digital screens, they also apply to what is the print space you're working on. So these rules and principles apply across all platforms. So, and one of the other things that I'm asking you to do this research is specifically to do with laptops and now smartphones as well. But laptops are maybe the best example of the kind of technical challenges. PS5, when I saw the Call of Duty, it exceeded the screen length, I go all the way around and change it manually. Yeah, this happens all the time, right? Sometimes the technical details are not set up properly, so you're like, why is it too big or too small? Now, the reason I've asked you to do all this technical information, an excellent example of this is laptops. So this, what you are seeing here are some of the most common laptop aspect ratios and screen sizes available in the market today. 16 by 10, 16 by 9, 13.3 inches, 13.5 inches, 3.2 inches, right? For example, my laptop is an old school giant gaming laptop, 17.3 inches, but its aspect ratio is 16 by 9 and its screen resolution can go up to 2K. But this will be very different from someone who's on my wife's laptop. My wife's name is Samya. So on my wife's laptop, it's an old MacBook. It's a 13.3-inch screen. It's 16 by 9 and it only goes up to 1080p, right? So laptops are an excellent example of how you need to take into account technical details of the actual physical screen size versus the actual aspect ratio versus the actual resolution. You need, as a designer, you need to accommodate all your designs within these technical details. So the reason we're going through such an elaborate, through such a long research process with such basic details is because this is information every designer must immediately get out of the way in 5 minutes at the start of any product. What are the dimensions of the platform that I will be building my work on? It doesn't matter if it's print, if it doesn't matter if it's a billboard, it doesn't matter if it's a poster, a laptop screen, a phone screen, a digital screen, a tablet screen, AC monitor, AC remote screen, it doesn't matter. If there is some kind of display medium, what are the dimensions of that medium? This is critical information for a designer. And the first step to becoming a good designer and becoming a good design thinker is what are the practical and technical limitations within which I have to work under. The best designers work under specific rules and constraints. And the first rule and constraint is always what are the dimensions of my communication platform? So something I want you to do going forward for all the work you do, it doesn't matter if it's a homework exercise, class exercise, it's a personal exercise. Think about the platform you're communicating on. And a good way to start. How many of you have portfolios online right now? I'm asking, I'm not. Okay. You know what? I think it's a fun exercise. And I'll also show you my portfolio later because I'm redesigning it from scratch, but I've done a little bit of work. So I can show you the work in progress of my portfolio because I'm rebuilding it after many, many years and I'm being lazy about it. But still working on it. That's fine. What we'll do is we'll also go through some of your portfolios towards the end of the class so I can give you some feedback and we'll talk about design. But your portfolios are an excellent way for you to practice this. Learn to design one of the ways you can learn to become really, really good and experts at just understanding screen space, screen size, aspect ratio, resolutions is take your portfolio, make sure that you understand whether it's on Behance or Wix or whatever other Squarespace, whatever platform you're using. Make sure that have you all of those of you with portfolios, have you actually tested your portfolio on different devices to see if it actually looks good on desktop, laptop, tablet, and phone? Have you actually done this? And Aditya, does it look good on every type of screen? It sure does. Okay, we'll take a look at your portfolio later to confirm this. There's lots of confidence. My point is, even if you've done it, go double check. I don't have it as a proper website yet. What does that mean, Samya? What does a proper website mean? It's either a website or it's not a website. Proper website kya hua? Anyway, the point is, your portfolio is the first way will be your first communication to anyone who's going to hire you for a job or is looking to hire you for a job or someone who's interested in your work. If your portfolio can work on no matter what device they access your portfolio on, then you're already telling this person who's looking at portfolio that, this person has taken into account that their portfolio will be accessed on different devices and different screen resolutions and different aspect ratios. So they're already understanding the critical technical details that you have to take into account to communicate well. So, but we're not done. More fundamentals. Now we come to the more complex part of design. Why are you making your product? Right? Sure, there's a specific audience. You want to communicate something specific, but what form is that communication taking? Is it a competitive product? Are you making it to defeat challenges? Are you making it to defeat competitors? Are you making it because you want to make money in the market? Are you making it for a client? Are you making it for yourself? It doesn't matter. The point is that many products fall under certain categories. Now, this is not a academic like system or rule that exists. This is more something that I've come to learn in my own experience, that my portfolio is also on Wix. The question is not about how lame it is. The question is it out? The only thing that matters the portfolio is, does it look good and is it out there? So don't worry about it. Yeah, we'll go through these details later. My portfolios, I also use Wix. Um, this is not an academic system or rule. This is more, again, like I said at the start, this is a guideline. And this is something that I have seen in my experience. So this is coming from my personal experience. Almost all products eventually are about certain specific reasons. Now, products can be built for competitive reasons. You're competing against other products in the market, you're competing against yourself, you're competing against someone else. You've designed the product to defeat a specific kind of problem or a specific kind of challenge, or you want to beat competition. Some products are purely creative. For example, the best example of this is by far is, have any of you played or grown up on Minecraft or Roblox or Fortnite? Any one of these three? Okay. How many of you played, first of all, have all of you played all three or at least one of these? Okay. So some people have. Is there anyone here who is not all three? All three. Is there anyone here who's not played any of these? Hidanshi, you haven't done all three? Adhishree, not all three? Not even one? Okay. That's fine. A lot, for example, Instagram is a very good example of a creative product. Yes, the primary, that's okay. Anya, don't worry. But for example, a lot of social media, a lot of art programs, a lot of art products like Procreate on iPhones and on tablets in particular, right? Procreate is a tool purely about making and drawing and designing visual art, right? So a lot of products are about creative expression, right? Sure, Instagram is about making money. At the end of the day, Instagram is owned by Facebook, right? They want to make a lot of money. But the primary communication of Instagram is visual, it's photography, it's videos, it's reels, right? It's a self-expressive and it's about creative expression. So a lot of programs are about the creative process. And the games I mentioned also have a lot of, like, for example, Minecraft is, here is an open world, make what you can with these blocks. Some aspects of Fortnite, like give you creative freedom to make the kind of like different game modes and maps that you want, right? So, and Roblox as well. The point is, games are a very good example of like purely creative products. But even in real life, some products are about self-expression and communication. Other products can be about the social reality. Games are about multiplayer games or role-playing games are about socializing. Community products or social media products are about social aspects. How many of you talk to each other and your friends on WhatsApp, Snapchat, TikTok? TikTok is banned in India, but do all of you and your friends constantly communicate on online apps or digital apps? Whether it's Instagram messages, WhatsApp. Okay, which ones are you using? WhatsApp, Instagram, what else are you all using? Just give me a list of like your common communication tools. I'm assuming a lot of you use Telegram. Are any of you using Telegram at all? WhatsApp and Insta? Okay. WhatsApp and Insta. WhatsApp, Insta, Telegram sometimes, Reddit. Yeah, I use Reddit a lot. I'm on Reddit all the time. I'm in Reddit for a long time. But in India, WhatsApp and Instagram are going to be very, very common. Sometimes Telegram, WhatsApp, Discord. I'm on Discord too. Okay. The point is that these tools that you're using, the primary form of communication is, I'm assuming most of you use these talk to each other through text, right? So I have a question for you. Most of you, and again, now we're coming back to design thinking. Now go back to research. The question I'm going to ask you is, you're going to have to think about this logically and maybe do a bit of a 5 to 10 minute research. And we'll specifically use WhatsApp as an example. WhatsApp is the second largest or the first largest. It's one of the top two. I forget whether it's bigger than China's WeChat or not, but it doesn't matter. Outside of WeChat, WhatsApp is by far the biggest text communication tool on the planet. Now, all of you obviously primarily use it for text, but what do you think is actually the most common way do you believe text is the most common way WhatsApp is used globally by the majority of its users? Yes or no? I'm asking if you agree. Yes, okay. How many of you agree that text is the primary communication method for WhatsApp? Calling. Okay, Samya's asked a very good question. Now, let's think like design research also. Now, yes, WhatsApp calling can be used, but what's a third function of communication that WhatsApp has? And how often, what do you think I'm referring to? Emojis, voice notes, right? You can record voices, voice chat. So now all of you have gone through a very high level of education in India. Compared to the vast majority of Indian kids, do you think you've been given a better education than they have? You all come from families who can afford to give you an education. And do you think the basic education, the formal education you received is better than the vast majority of kids in the country today? Be honest, it's okay. So, because you've all been through this incredibly formal and expensive educative process of the last 18 years, not all of India has been through the same level of education that you have. So one of the things when WhatsApp became very popular here, one of the pieces of research that came out some years ago that said that it turns out that the most common way to use WhatsApp in India is actually not text. It's actually voice notes. Because the icon to hold down the record button, the mic icon, is a visually understood icon. Everyone understood eventually that that means record my voice. And because the majority of Indians do not have access to income and to education that all of you have had, so it is much, much easier for them to record voice notes and send them. So, for example, our driver, his name is Puran, 90% of the communication with him is voice notes on WhatsApp because it's just easier because he's always driving around, he can't afford to sit and read, and he communicates faster on voice than he does on text. And it turns out that the majority of Indians send images and voice notes on WhatsApp because it's a much more faster, more convenient way to communicate through WhatsApp or call each other, as it was pointed out earlier. The ones who actually use WhatsApp primarily as text communication are people who've had a much higher level of education, right? So this is another thing that you as design researchers need to think about. Your audience is not just about money and what features they're looking for. It's also what income class do they come from? What education have they had? Are you making a visual product, a text product, a musical product, a sound-based product? You have to determine what is the primary function of your product and what is the primary method of communication. And you have to go and really thoroughly research your audience and how they actually use your tool. You may have designed your tool to be used in one way, but it turns out that they're using your tool in a completely different way that you did not intend. Sometimes the reality of your product is that the users determine how it has to progress and not you. This is the reality of any kind of design that exists today, especially interactive products. So And the goals that your products need to achieve, the rules of how they're used, you may define them a certain way, but they can never ever really determine how users will eventually wind up using your products. The reality is that as designers, you have to see and research what your audience wants versus what they're actually doing versus what they actually need, and you need to make the best possible decisions. And all of that starts with research and asking questions. So, what does this even any mean, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to go into a little bit of theory. Then we're going to come back to doing a couple of more exercises. That means no, it doesn't matter what type of designer you are. Print, digital, games, visual, illustration, doesn't matter. All fields. There is some kind of input or system that some sort of input needs to go into. There is some model or interactive or design model that is happening there that is interpreting your input. It is giving an output to the user. So some sort of feedback is happening. And then the user gets better at that feedback as they do it more and more and more. And they get better at putting in a better input and then just repeating this basic loop. This works for games. This works for social media. This works for communication apps, email, physical input system. I nearly dropped my phone. Phone input system. Now, here is a practical example of this system that I'm talking about. Now, all of you take your phones so you can see the screen. Now, we all know phones are touchscreen devices. What I want you to put down in chat, all the different physical ways that you interact with your phone screen, whether it's a touch screen or the volume and power volume buttons on the side, or the power buttons on the side. What are all the different ways that you can do an input on your screen, on your phone device? Put them in chat. Let's go put a question here. What are all the different ways you can interact with your phone device? Let's go. Come on. You play with your phones every day. You use your phone. You use your cameras to unlock your phone. Okay. Charge, touch, volume, headphone connection. Keep going. That's just the physical elements. What are the different, like the screen? How many different ways can you interact with the screen? Let's go. You use your phones every day. Think about them logically. Double tap to on and off, volume button, swap button, fingerprint sensor. Okay. These are all the physical elements, physical buttons or physical access or physical touch points on your phone. Let me actually take my cover off so it's easier, right? Then you also the camera. You can take this off to see the battery, right? Now, let's talk about the most complex aspect of your phone, the screen. How many different ways can you interact with the screen? Just the screen. Let's see how you define this. Swap, tap, swipe, tap, double tap, fingerprint, swipe up, down, side to side. Yeah, keep going. What else? You're not done. Are all the interactions single finger, or can you also do double finger, triple finger, quadruple finger? Can you do that too? Keep going. Different ways you can interact with the screen. Screenshot, yeah, my phone too. You use multiple fingers while playing games, okay? Pinch to zoom, yeah. Now, triple finger swipe, take screenshot, hold feature, multiple, right? So we have things like tap. So we swipe horizontally, swipe vertically, then we have pinch to zoom, right? And pinch to zoom out, pinch to zoom in, double finger, triple finger, right? So we have all these different interactions. Now, again, I want you to think like researchers. Now we're back to asking questions. These interactions that you use your hand and your fingers for on a phone, Yeah, gestures. Samir, what you're referring to are phone gestures. A lot of smartphones now have specific gestures on your screen that the phone screen will recognize, and it will enable that specific aspect or tool. I don't like using gestures, but many people do. So now we're back to thinking like designers. Why do you think Apple? Because Apple were the ones who really figured. Apple were not the first people to invent touchscreens, and they were not the first ones to invent mass market touchscreen devices, right? Nintendo had done that already several years before with the original Nintendo DS when they really, although they used the stylus. So Nintendo already had a 5-year head start on interactive touchscreen devices. But Apple were the first ones who said, hang on, how do we get people to use touchscreens with their physical hand? Every single one of these things that you said about tap, double tap, tap and hold, slide, swipe, horizontally, vertically, pinch, right? All these interactions are these kind of interactions. Do you only do them on your phone, or do you also do them other parts of your house? Do you also use them in other parts of your day-to-day existence? What are different other parts of your day-to-day living where you tap things, touch things, swipe things, pinch things? Are there other things that you use these interactions for that are not screens or other devices? Okay. Some of you are saying yes. What are these other? Yeah, Hridanshu, you're correct, right? Everyone has a switch to turn the light off and on, or a fan or something else. What can you pinch? What in the house can you pinch like this, like you would on a phone screen? Pinch कहाँ पे होता है? Opening a chips packet, so you pinch the corner. Yeah, exactly. Anyone who's taken namak or chini out to put in their like anda, their breakfast in the morning or chai या coffee के अंदर, right? वो कैसे निकालते हो? अगर चम्मच नहीं है, you take like a pinch of salt, to spray, put inside. Where would you use 3 fingers? Where would you use 2 fingers? Where would you put pressure and like hold? What's a place where you can tap and hold in real life? Yes, changing the semaphore is considered an interaction. How will you pull the phone out? Do you have to pinch the phone between your index finger and thumb to pull it out? Yeah, there you go, Pooja, right? So the pinch in real life, the pinch has multiple applications, right? It can pinch on a screen. It can pinch a masala to put on, drop on something. It can pinch a SIM card to pull it out. Pinch is my point is, what Apple figured out was that, okay, we have a smartphone device, but how do we actually make it a mass communication device? Apple recognized that there are certain specific, our hands are very, very intricate and delicate biological features. And we use these things every single day for dozens and dozens and dozens of different action, right? Mixers, choppers, like other electronics. Yeah, my mixie, every time I use my mixie, I want to hold it for like 30 seconds, right? Yeah, there is a hold button. Push is used in turning on cars. So what Apple realized was, how do we take everyday normal behavior that people use their hands and fingers for and apply it to this? That is the most critical part of what Apple realized. And how did they do that? Research. Apple just did a ton and ton and ton and ton of research. They were like test, research. All Apple did was for 5 years was spend billions of dollars, and all they spent for that billions of dollars was doing research and asking questions. One of my favorite examples of user research, Google Maps. When Google Maps was first starting out in the late 2000s, so in about 2009, when Google Maps was still very new, and they had just launched it in India. I think Google Maps launched in India around 2008, 2009. I vaguely remember this. And one of the things they found was that in India, people were not using Google Maps. They didn't like it at all. Google Maps had seen a lot of uptick in use in many other countries where Google had launched them. And because India is an up and coming, is a developing economy, it's has a lot of digital infrastructure that's constantly been built the last 20 years. So what they discovered was, when Google Maps first came to India, users were not enjoying it in India. And they were like, what the hell, why? So what they discovered was that in India, because India has no formalized urban planning, maps, everything is informal. There was no standardized way to record public information, and many of the maps are basically wrong. Yes, Pratyush. So Google Maps were like, how do we solve this problem? So Google Maps spent 2 years researching user behavior for maps in India. They went to experts, everyday users, phone users, governments, private companies, agencies. They spent 2 years doing research. And one of the two critical pieces of information they found was one was it's how Indians give directions. When you have to give direction to someone who's lost in your colony, because let's say when you have to tell a cabbie or a delivery guy from Zomato or Blinkit or a friend who's never been to your house before, उनको directions कैसे देते हो अपने घर तक? Give me an example. How do you tell people who are trying to find your home the first time they're coming? Even with Google Maps, sometimes the way Indian colonies and Indian roads are designed, it's not perfect. Landmarks. Do all of you have a local gurdwara, masjid, या temple or market where you're like, उस गुरुद्वारे के बाद राइट लेना, फिर उस मस्जिद के बाद लेफ्ट लेना, फिर उस मंदिर के बाद सीधा जाना, फिर उस गेट पे जिसपे ये गेट का नंबर है, उस गेट के अंदर जाने के बाद तीसरा लेफ्ट लेना, क्योंकि उस तीसरे लेफ्ट पे ये घर का ये कलर है, right? How many of you give instructions to all your homes like this? Exactly, right? My point is, so when Google realized this, they're like, oh, damn. So Indians don't, because addresses are not normal here. There is no formal system of addresses. There is no formalized system of organizing a city. My directions usually come from malls or food places, exactly. So when Google realized this, so the first Google country to have Google Maps with landmarks, critical or popular landmarks to specific addresses, Google introduced it in India first in 2009 after 2 years of research. And when Google realized and this was the first major feature they added specifically for India. And when they saw how the popularity of Google Maps shot up after that, they made that feature common across the world for Google Maps everywhere. And if you go to the Google blog, by the way, and I'll share some critical design links at the end of the class that you should go and read up on, is that Google Maps Google uses India as a critical research and development market for Google Maps. Many, many, many major features that are normal in Google Maps today, landmarks, traffic, understanding which gates are open, which gates are closed, voice commands and voice input, and voice talking about directions in multiple languages. Many of these features were either designed specifically for the Indian market or they were tested in the Indian market first. And because one, in India, you get a massive volume of people. So again, it doesn't matter if you're $1 trillion company or if you're a student with no money. As a designer, as a design thinker, your first priority is research and asking questions. Always, 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 always research and research. And even every time you think you've done enough research, थोड़ा और research करो. गूगल ने 2 साल सिर्फ ऐसे रिसर्च करा कि यार इंडिया में लोग navigate कैसे करते हैं. That's all they did for 2 years. And that's how they described it. So we're gonna take this, and guess what? We're back to doing an exercise. Everybody here has, if they haven't played cricket, all of you basically understand cricket, correct? So my question to you is, and I'm putting my question in the chat. So what are the 3 fundamental aspects of cricket? What are they? Bowling, batting, and fielding. We don't need to complicate this. We'll leave it at that. Okay. Bowling, batting, and fielding. When you break these down to an even more basic level, what are the actual actions happening in these three techniques, right? Bowling, batting, and fielding are, yes, they are the three fundamental aspects of cricket, but और भी basic तोड़ो और कम करो. Bowling क्या है, batting क्या है, swinging, throwing, catching. Exactly. Bowling, batting, and fielding are taking three fundamental actions that all human beings know how to do. Hitting something, throwing something, catching something, and the fourth one is running, because you have to run for all three: bowling, batting, and fielding, right? Running, throwing, hitting, catching. Human beings, these are four very common everyday actions that human beings do on an everyday basis. Those of you who have grown up with siblings and cousins and nieces and nephews and lots of friends, you've been throwing balls and other things at each other your whole life, right? All those of you who have siblings in the house, how many times have you thrown things at each other in frustration or annoyance or just to irritate them? I'm pretty sure all of you. As someone who also grew up with a younger brother, believe me, throwing things at each other is a very normal thing. Uncountable times, exactly. Those of you with siblings understands. Those of you who are single children, I'm sure you have lots of cousins and friends and you have thrown things at each other or caught things at each other, because single child somewhere, but I'm pretty sure you've thrown things at friends and cousins, right? Single children, you still have other cousins, right? And friends, no? You don't have those. But my point is, yeah, exactly. You've done it with your cousins. My point is that a few hundred years ago, a bunch of very rich friends who are too scared to hang out. Fair enough. My point is that a bunch of very rich and bored British nobility a few hundred years ago was like, how do we make cricket an interesting sport? And they said, well, somebody a few hundred, 300, 400 years ago said, well, what if we took the rules of like catching, what if we took catching, hitting, running, and throwing and made something interesting out of it? So over a period of time, these bored, rich British people 300, 400 years ago were like, yeah, हम कोई इंटरेस्टिंग गेम बना सकते हैं, और वो प्ले टेस्टिंग 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 over several hundred years. Cricket has the rules of cricket and how cricket functions today has come from this constant iteration and research and testing and application of an interesting way to throw, an interesting way to run, an interesting way to hit, and an interesting way to catch. They built a specific set of rules around these four basic human actions and called them bowling, batting, and fielding. And it's resulted in a very, very interesting, fun sport that billions of people play and is still played today, right? And it's even though it's a foreign, even though it's an imported sport, it's a national sport of India now, effectively, even though hockey is technically the national sport. Hockey as well, by the way, is same rules, lots of running, lots of catching, lots of hitting, and lots of throwing. Just except with a hand, you do it with a stick. So you see how the basic concepts of running, throwing, hitting, catching are being applied in different ways in the two main national sports of India, hockey and cricket. The point is that, again, you have to do a lot of research, a lot of design, a lot of testing, a lot of rules to see like कि मैं कैसे इस चीज को इंटरेस्टिंग बनाऊं और अपने यूजर के लिए इंटरेस्टिंग चीज करूं. We'll do one more exercise. And now we're going to apply it to your daily. Now, all of you have been to the Ecole, JSID Ecole building in Lachman Nagar, correct? Pratyush, it really doesn't matter if it is or it is not. Okay. So the last time, not yet. Okay, Shreya, you can pick any, those of you who have not, pick whatever is a regular like commute that you do on a day-to-day basis or on a week-to-week basis. So it doesn't matter if you've not been to the JSID building yet. Pick any location that you travel to regularly, it's fine. What I want to do is, from the moment you wake up, what I want you to do is take a 5-10 minute exercise and take your time. There's no rush. From the moment you wake up out of bed, literally get up from your bed to the moment you reach your chosen location of this trip that or commute that you make on a regular basis, कितने चीजों के साथ आप interact करते हो that fall under the following categories. Now I'm putting the question and then you can all think about it and take your time. Now you're not doing research. You're not Googling online. Now you have to think internally कि मेरा process क्या है. So from the moment you wake up to the moment you reach your destination on a regular trip or commute, what kind of technological, analog, digital, mechanical, and physical elements do you interact with? So that's the question. My question to you is, and take your time. Now, what I'm doing with this question is I'm testing your thinking. I'm testing your memory. I'm testing what kind of things do you think can fit as an answer to my question. Literally, every single thing, no matter how big or small, from the moment you wake up and every step that you go through till you reach this destination that you take on a regular basis. I want you to just give me a bullet list or a numbered list of every single thing. It doesn't matter how tiny it is, how insignificant it is. It doesn't matter if it's gigantic and you don't believe it's relevant. Every single thing that could be technical, could be physical, could be digital, it could be mechanical, it doesn't matter. I don't care what it is. Every single piece of interaction or that you believe that you have to go through, that you go through every time you make this regular trip or commute. You can pick the trip you took to JSID. You can take a trip that you take regularly, whether it's to school, whether it was to college, whether it was to a friend's house, whether to your grandparents' house, something else. जो भी आप trip या commute आप regularly लेते हो, daily, weekly, monthly, it doesn't matter. Pick your location. It doesn't matter. I want you to tell me what are the things from waking up to reaching the destination do you interact with? And just put it on a list. And I want you to take your time, 5 to 10 minutes, so I can see what different people are thinking. Brush, shower, fresh clothes, comb hair, get in the car. Okay. सुरेश्वर इसको थोड़ा तोड़ते हैं. बिस्तरे से सिंक तक कितनी इंडिविजुअल चीजें हैं? सोच. कितनी चीजें होती हैं? Literally from the moment you wake up till you reach your sink and you start brushing. What are the individual elements just in that first 5 minutes that you do? How many things can you think of? Are you the type who just immediately wakes up and goes, or do you lie there for 5 minutes and press the snooze button on your alarm for half an hour, which is what I do because I'm very lazy. It takes me 30 minutes to get out of the bed. Floor, switch, slipper. What switch, Hridanshi? कौन सा switch? कैसा switch? Specific क्या है? Designers हो, be specific. ये vague switch, slipper, floor responses नहीं aren't good enough. You guys, you're all in college now. You may be only like recent graduates, but you're going to be starting much more complex education soon. So you need to start thinking like designers now. Don't give me vague answers like floor switch slippers. Specific as you make it, as you can make it. तुम सब सेम रजाई पे सोते हो? सब सेम बेड साइज पे सोते हो? Do you all have the same kind of bed sheets? Do you all have the same kind of razai? Do you all have the same kind of alarm? Do you all have the switch on the same side of the room? Are all your lights somewhere else? Is your AC remote the same? Is your drawer the same? Is your blanket the same? Do all of you have the same handle on your bathroom door? Think very carefully in as much detail as possible. Think about every single. Okay, let's simplify this. Just from waking up to going to your bathroom sink where you will brush your teeth, just in this limited space, कितनी सारे individual interactions आप सोच सकते हो? Okay, Anya, I like the hair clip answer. All those of you who use hair clips, are hair clips the same type, or are there different hair clips require different interactions? Anya, do you have just one kind of hair clip, or do you have multiple different kinds of hair clip? कौन सा hair clip? कौन से hair clip के साथ सोते हो? Pin के साथ, scrunchie के साथ, hairband, maybe some different kind of hair clip, like, or do you put like, I know some of my female friends, they sleep like because of very long hair and low bangs, so they like to put like a full like sports style, sweatband, so it keeps the hair back. Put on switches, switch on light, walk to washroom, switch on light, open door. Exactly. So they should, that's the kind of like, look at, so this bed, floor, slippers, this is the level of detail. Now you're only just starting to think about the level of detail that designers take into consideration. Here is another question. All the razais or that you sleep on, how many of you lift your razai backwards? And how many of you lift your razais sideways? साइडवेज या पीछे डालते हो? साइडवेज फॉर प्रत्युष. पीछे कौन डालता है? Who lifts it horizontally versus who lifts it sideways? क्योंकि अभी गर्मी है तो अभी तो पतली रजाई में सो रहे होगे तो इजी टू डू साइडवेज, लेकिन सर्दी में जब मोटी मोटी रजाई होती है, so use the clutcher after waking up, but mostly clutcher rubber band. Yeah, there you go. You sleep weirdly. Yeah, Hridanshi, that's fine. I sleep weirdly too. But think about it, right? In the summers and the monsoon, even with ACs, we prefer to use thinner razais. So thinner razais is easy to do sideways. In the winter, how many of you use really thick, moti kumbals or moti razais, which are actually, you have to like push off you like this, right? In the winter, do you find yourself with your thick, moti razais and kumbals, do you have to push them off versus sideways? Because sideways, they're much heavier, so harder with one hand. So, for example, with me in the summer, I do sideways, but in the winter, I push forward because it's easier with the moti razai. So even the type of razai, right? We don't push up razai in winters. Yeah, I don't like moti razai. I also don't push up razai in winters. You use two, three thick ones, and those are really hard to do sideways, aren't they? My point is, we haven't even gotten to your bathroom door, to your washroom. But the type of razai you have, that means someone had to design that razai. A fashion designer or a textile designer had to think about that razai. How thick is that razai? What is the size of that razai? What is the dimension of that razai? Is it a cotton razai? Is it a nylon razai? Is it a polyester razai? Is it a lycra razai? Like, उसका material क्या है? उसका size क्या है? उसके dimensions क्या है? रजाई के लिए भी dimensions, material, technical elements like lifting a blanket, light switch, slippers, water tap, toothpaste, right? Now you're on, like, yeah, all of your toothbrushes. How many, by the way, let's talk about your toothpaste. How many of you have screw top toothpaste? How many of you have flip top toothpastes? Okay, flip top, screw top, twisting cap, okay. How many of you, okay, a lot of you. So Pratyush, most of you have screw top. Pratyush, you have a flip top. Why? Do you prefer the flip top or ये ऐसे ही खरीदा था? Let me actually ask this question to all of you. Did all of you think about whether you wanted a screw top or a flip top, or you just bought whatever was available and that's it? Yeah, there you go. Sale pe tha, right? Now, here's the question as a designer. The next time you go buy toothpaste, actually think, now if you, best tasting one, fair enough. No, sometimes taste is a reason. For a long time, I used to get close up because I really liked the strong cinnamon flavor of close up. Now I'm old, so Sensodyne, very simple. Yeah, Sensodyne only comes with screw cap. You prefer flip top, but now here's a question for you. We haven't even left your bedroom or your bathroom, and we're already talking design. That means someone as a packaging designer at your chosen toothpaste company had to be like, do we want to make screw tops? Do we want to make flip tops? Or whatever other type of top exists? Do we want to make a gel transparent packaging or a completely opaque packaging? Do we want to have a fancy flavorful toothpaste, or do we want a simple medical clinical toothpaste? That is a very critical research and design that needs to be done on toothpaste, right? You have to have a product designer who designs the packaging, who has to think about the dimensions, who has to think about the price. Have before today, did any of you ever think about the fact whether you want a screw top or a flip top soap or shower gel or shampoo or toothpaste, right? Even for even for something as simple as brushing your teeth every morning, there are designers. What kursi do you, how many of you have a desk and kursi in your room, right? What type of kursi do you have in your room, in your bedroom? What type of kursi is it? Office chair, wooden. Office chair that goes like round, plastic. Okay, what material? Okay, tell me about all of you with all the chairs in your room. Is it only one material or is there multiple materials in the design and construction of your chair? Okay, don't worry about the desk. Chair is fine. For those of you with wooden chairs, Varun, is it completely wooden? Or are there parts even of the wooden and plastic chairs that are not wooden plastic? कितने components है wooden chairs पे? और कितने components है plastic chair पे? Completely wooden, Varun. So even the backrest is wooden. It's not cane or rattan. Cushion and fabric, some thick plastic with foam. Okay. For those of you with plastic chairs or office chairs, उसमें plastic भी है, metal भी है, fabric भी है? Yes, no? See, so even the chair. Oh wow, Simran, that's a huge, yeah, right? So these are many, many things. My point is, it doesn't matter if it's your daily commute. It doesn't matter if it's your waking up process. It doesn't matter if it's money. It doesn't matter if it's phone. It doesn't matter if it's reading, right? My point is, every single aspect of your life is being touched by a designer. Someone had to design your chair. Someone had to design your razai. Someone had to design your bed. Someone had to design your table lamp. Someone had to design your phone. Someone had to design your door. How many of you have a round handle on your bathroom door versus a full old school handle versus a modern pull handle? What kind of handle do you have on your bathroom door? All of you. Bathroom door पे कौन सा दरवाजे का क्या handle है? Kundi, okay. Modern pull handle, old school. Hridanshi, what does old school mean? Old school what? Kundi, okay. You have a pull. Aditya has a pull. Do you think ये जादू से इन्होंने ऐसे random बनाए या did they actually have to do research to find like new different ways to open doors because different materials, different homes, different processes, some are easier, some are better, some are easier to maintain. Every single aspect of your day-to-day existence is touched by design. Here is another part of a design. In your shower, how many of you have a pull-out button to switch between, first of all, what type of shower handles do you have? Is it handles? Is it knob? Is it digital with a button? Is it the handle? Okay. What type of shower do you all have? शावर हेड कैसा है? गोल है, स्क्वायर है, ऊंचा है, नीचे है, लंबा है, छोटा है, क्या है? Knob, round, handles, square. Okay, someone has square apparently. Square and tall. Wow, a lot of people with square shower heads. Hexagonal shower head. What? Round, short knob. Okay. So this is what I'm saying, right? No matter which part of your existence is important to you in that minute, there is no part of your life that is not touched. Someone had to design that shower head. Someone had to design the doorknob. Someone had to design the door handle. Someone had to design your toothpaste. Someone had to design your toothpaste packaging. Someone had to design. It's not years wasted on research, Aditya. A designer has done their job well if you don't even notice the design. The best design is one that you don't think about. My point is that because all of you are aiming to be designers, the reason I'm focusing in this introductory webinar on such day-to-day aspects of your lives is because you're now beginning to see. This is your introduction to how every single aspect of your life is touched by a designer. All of you are entering a field where no matter what you do, someone somewhere out there will use your design. Your first priority for your product is not even can I get my product or whatever it is that you're working on, whether it's a commercial product, a personal product, an artistic product, a public product, a private product, it doesn't matter. As a designer, आपकी पहली प्रायोरिटी है ये जो मेरा प्रोडक्ट की जो फंक्शनैलिटी है, मेरी प्रोडक्ट की जो एक्सपीरियंस है, these two things, what is the most efficient way I can get them tested and used by a specific user so I can see whether it's working or not. The first priority of any designer is to get someone to test and use their product so they can make improvements. Because if no one is using and testing your products and giving you feedback, आपको कैसे पता चलेगा कि आपका product actually काम कर रहा है या नहीं काम कर रहा है? My point is, start asking questions about the single everyday things in your life. All of you have given me really good answers about the number of things you interact on a day-to-day basis. Go after the end of this class, go Google them. Who first invented swipe cards that you use on the metro? Who first invented infrared scanners that the metro card uses? Who invented the touch screen? Who invented the mouse? Who invented the monitor? How did they design it? Who invented the first wireless telephone? How did the wireless telephone? Asking questions, observing, listening. Research, right? Basically, how are users going to interact? What are the rules of interaction with your ideas? How do you communicate them? What feedback mechanisms, or how are you communicating the feedback of your products or your experiences to your users? Are the results as you wanted them, or have your users come up with different ways to use your product? For example, WhatsApp. It turns out that most Indians in WhatsApp actually use voice notes, not text. So, what is it you think designers do? Well, we've discussed a lot. We don't need to discuss some more. The primary responsibility of designers, my favorite answer is experiences. It could be a super simple experience of like darwaze ka handle, because that gives you access to the door to open it. It could be something incredibly complex like a theme park. Like, for example, theme parks. And how many of you been to, those of you who lived in Delhi or in Gurgaon or around Gurgaon, you know that Theater of Dreams thing in Gurgaon? Like, there are actual specific spatial designers. They're called spatial designers. They design experiences in physical spaces, right? So theater, music, live performances, right? They also have designers because they need to design these experiences for people who will come and interact with them in physical spaces. The first responsibility of a designer is कि मेरे यूजर का intended experience क्या है, मेरे को क्या रिसर्च करना है, वो एक्सपीरियंस का मैं प्रोटोटाइप पहले कैसे बनाऊं, टेस्ट कैसे करूं, फीडबैक कैसे लूं, इटरेट कैसे करूं, इंप्रूव कैसे करूं, फिर से टेस्ट कैसे करूं, एंड कीप टेस्टिंग till it's ready to be used at a large scale. Your responsibility as designers is to make whatever you're working on as usable, as functional as possible. There's no point you building the perfect door handle on the planet if it's too expensive and too heavy to be used by anybody. What's the point then? If it's such a beautiful door handle, why aren't you making it more accessible and functional? The point is, find out what is a good experience for your intended users, or उनके लिए product बनाओ, उनके लिए कोई चीज बनाओ. It doesn't have to be a commercial product. You can make it private. You can make it personal. You could be designing something for a friend or a loved one or a family member or friend and making something very specific for them. But make it as relevant as you can to that intended user. So now we've talked a lot about users. Who are we creating experience for? So you want to set goals, right? What is the intended goal for that user? I'm not talking about just like the functionality of a door handle. I'm talking about situation क्या है, description क्या है, emotion क्या है, unique चीज क्या है. ये because what this does is कि ये जो आपका creative और design process है, it's not just you're not just building a function. हाँ, function भी बनाना है. For example, when you go to buy phones, how do they advertise phones to you, right? Every single piece of advertising you've seen on phone, like when you think about advertising about phones, how do they advertise a phone? Do they do it emotionally or do they do it practically future wise? कैसे करते हैं? How are phones advertised to people typically? Feature wise, what else do they do? What are the different ways, features? Yeah, but do they just say here is a feature with a massive megapixel amount of pixels to make a high resolution photo? Or do they say you can use our beautiful new camera with 10, 20 bajillion megapixels to create memories with family and friends, right? They take the feature and sell the emotion that can come out from that feature, right? So yes, you want to design technical elements, but you want to create some sort of communication or kahani with that feature for your users. So you're right, we do talk about features, but does every phone company that sells this brand new camera, do they just say, here is a feature with bigger numbers, or do they say, here is a camera with which you can take even high resolution memories, right? My point is that how are you going to communicate that experience to a user? Even for something like a door handle. Look, this old door handle, it used to take you so long to enter. Now this old door handle makes entrance to any kind of doors easy, right? So even for something as simple as opening a door, come up with interesting ways to tell a story or tell a kahani or communicate what it is that you want your user to understand. So I was going to do a lot more thing about pillars of design, but this is much more complex. What I would rather do for the last same, I think the webinar is till 12:30, correct?
Correct.
So I think instead, what we'll do, all of you, is here's some random things I put on screen, and you don't have to limit it to, but these are just things that I have a lot of experience in. What I'm more curious about is what are your questions, not just about these things that you see on screen here. What are questions that you have about other aspects of design in general? What would you like to understand about the design industry? What would you like to understand about the creative industry, not just in India, but maybe abroad as well? What kind of general questions, concerns, or things that you don't understand about what design is and why you're choosing to do it, and what future there is in this? So I think instead of just me continuing to go on do a thing, I think I would also like to understand where all of you are coming from. So which aspects of what you see on screen here or anything else that you're interested in or want to talk about, what kind of questions do you want to ask me? What kind of portfolios do studios like? Okay, that's an excellent question. Studios like portfolios that communicate, that express what work specifically you did in them and how you did it. They want to understand, they don't want to be like, oh, I, Shreya Singh, made this website I made this website for dogs, where adopting stray dogs. Okay, great. लेकिन उस वेबसाइट पे करा क्या? Stray dogs कहाँ पे? Shelter dogs, street dogs. How did you design them? How did you communicate and iterate on your design for adopting stray dogs or for your intended users? Research कहाँ पे करा? कैसे करा? They want to understand the process of how you came up with that website. So the process, your creative and technical process and the research of your process of design is what they want to see in your portfolio. Portfolio pe communicate karo your design skill set and your design background. After taking game design, is it necessary to masters and get a more stable job? With game design specifically and game development, your experience is more important than masters. You can do masters eventually. I think it's a good thing, and you should always get as much education as you believe is important to you. But with games specifically, what I would suggest is undergrad khatam karo, work for 2-3 years, get some experience, make a little money, understand the industry, understand what it's like to work in the industry, then go do a master's for a couple of years. Because then what you will get is you will actually get more out of the master's क्योंकि आप practical industry experience और थोड़े पैसे भी ला रहे हो, थोड़ी income भी. And because you have industry experience, you will get more out of your master's program because your industry experience will inform your depth of understanding for your master's. Storytelling, branding, how to market yourself. Okay, Varun, let's do a quick design exercise. Who are you? What are you? Where are you from? Tell me about yourself. Quick 2-minute introduction, Varun. Tell me about yourself. Market yourself to me. बेचो अपने आप को. We'll talk about UI UX in a second, Mayank. Let me first answer Varun question. Varun, I have no idea who you are except for your name, Varun Pratap Singh. What is the other most critical information I need to know about you? If you're selling yourself to me. Let's say you called me up, you want a job. Actually, Asim, yeah, let's do that. I think just open the floor completely. I think just hang on a second, everyone. What we're going to do is Asim is going to just enable all of you to speak. So everyone unmute yourselves now. So I think let's turn this into a conversation. Now that I'm skipping the rest of the presentation. So Varun, can you hear me? Hello? You can all unmute yourselves, everyone.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so Varun, तुम अपने आप को मार्केट करना चाहते हो ना? तो कौन हो? I don't know anything about you except your name and your photo. और क्या है? What else do I need to know about you?
I'm a BC undergrad with 2 years of UX UI practice. And currently, I want to learn more about the design background,
Okay.
ताकि have a more solid base to be in the market right now.
ठीक है. So I'm gonna just stop sharing my screen. That's fine. I don't think we need that for the time being. 1 second. Have I turned my screen share off? Let me just turn my screen share off. 1 second. There we go. Okay, now I can actually talk directly to all of you, not just share my screen. Varun, how is that interesting? Why is that interesting to me? Oh, Asim, can we turn this off? It's too big. I don't need the spotlight. Thank you. So Varun, ठीक है, interesting है, but हाँ, आपने यहाँ पे graduate करा. You need to think of yourself more like, for example, let me introduce myself to you. Let's assume I'm coming to you. I'm trying to introduce myself to you. I'm like, Varun, my name is Vikram. I've been a game designer, communication designer 12 years, and I really, really like making games and digital experiences that generates fun for a lot of people. I haven't given you anything major or specific, but I've given you like the start of a kahani. I've told you मैं 12 साल से कर रहा हूँ. I've told you I like to build fun experiences because I like to make games and I like to build digital games, right? So in just 2 lines, I've given you 3 critical pieces of information about myself as a designer. You should not be thinking of yourself like oh, मैंने स्कूल करा, मैंने ग्रेजुएशन यहाँ पे करी, मैंने यहाँ पे मास्टर्स करा और यहाँ पे मैंने पोर्टफोलियो करे. आपकी कहानी और कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स का बैकग्राउंड क्या है? Those are the things you should be focusing on when you want to sell yourself or when you want to market yourself. Those are the kind of elements that you need to focus when it comes to marketing yourselves as designers or communicating yourselves as designers. Talk about the kind of work you like to do. Talk about how long you've been doing it. Talk about why you like to make it. These are the things that other designers are interested in. Yes, your credentials and your educational qualifications and technical background is important, and everyone will want that info. But that's second. Start with who you are, how long you've been doing it, and what type of design do you like to do, right? So it immediately helps me understand कि ठीक है, Varun is this type of designer और इतने सालों से कर रहा है. फिर उसके बाद once the introduction has been made, he's like, I did my graduation here are my projects, this is what I did here. But the first step is always what type of designer you are. Okay, Anya's asked how to think more critically, retain the habit of noticing and observing everything, although it's never enough. How can I be more creative? Okay, Anya, let me ask you a question. You've attained the habit of noticing and observing everything, लेकिन इस information को actually कहीं पे record कर रहे हो, लिख रहे हो, analyze कर रहे हो? Anya, I'm asking you, unmute yourself. Hello, Anya?
Hello?
हाँ, तो Anya, you're telling me that you notice and you observe, लेकिन are you recording this information anywhere? Are you
Not
right?
yet.
So if you're just thinking about it, Anya, you're not special. Everybody does that. But what is if you record this information somewhere and think about it and research it later and analyze it later, वो कर रहे हो?
Sometimes I do, if I find an idea
Okay.
somewhere and I think about it, then I write it so I don't forget.
So you don't forget. And then, but do you actually go and build or make even like something with all this information, or you just recording information for later? Do you actually do something with this information? Do you work, build ideas, build prototypes, build something out of it? Or are you just
Mm,
recording info?
Most of the time I just write them.
Okay, so just to answer everyone, because Anya's asked a very good question. I know only one way to be more creative as a designer. You just have to do a lot of work. You have to work a lot. It doesn't matter if your idea is big, small, tiny, if your idea is insignificant, if it seems stupid to you or dumb to you, brilliant to you, it doesn't matter. If you have an interesting idea, find a method to make some kind of prototype with it. The only method I know to become a better designer is to keep researching, asking questions, recording information, making something with that information and research. चीजें बनाते जाओ वेबसाइट बनाओ, इलस्ट्रेशन बनाओ, ग्राफिक डिजाइन का कोई विजुअल बनाओ, एनिमेशन बनाओ, म्यूजिक बनाओ, साउंड डिजाइन सीखो, become a better writer, become a better programmer, become a better typer, whatever your area of interest, I don't care. The only method I know to be a better designer is a constant practice of just making things, because the deeper you understand any process to make something, the better it makes you as a designer. So this applies to every single one of you. You want to be better designers? I don't care if it takes you 5 minutes or 5 months. अगर कोई आइडिया आया है, उस इंफॉर्मेशन, उस चीज को एनालाइज करो, रिसर्च करो, इटरेट और प्रैक्टिस करो, उस चीज के साथ कोई चीज बनाओ. It doesn't matter if it's small or big, right? Learn to make something up with an interesting idea. Ideas everyone can do. Ideas are easy. Executing is hard. Ultimately, the designer's day-to-day job is executing an idea. Execution and doing it well and doing the easy things. Learn to make the easy things really good. Get really good at grid. Get really good at dimensions. Get really good at basic research. Get really good at understanding the technicalities and get really good at research for your users. If you do these basic things really, really well, it just makes you that much more creative. It becomes second nature. It becomes normal for you to do these things. You want to be very creative as a designer? Do the work. You have to do lots of deep, deep work and keep making things. There's no other way. I want to start freelancing. Is it a good idea to start now? Shreya, there is no such thing as it a good idea to start now. There is only one good idea when to start, and that is when you start. You want to try freelancing, make something, go sell it to someone, just do it. Don't ask for permission to start doing work. Do the work. Just do the work. Don't ask permission. काम करना है, काम करो. That's it. With designers, your portfolio, your first degree, which will be from Ecole, and the portfolio that you make when you graduate from here, those two things are critical. And the better your portfolio, quality of work, not only do you come across as better designers, but it also means that Ecole and JSID are also seen as a place that teaches you how to build, constantly make things in your design education and build important portfolios. Your portfolios is is the representation of your skills as a designer throughout your career. Even as students, those of you who do not have portfolios, portfolio banao. Aditya, we will do review portfolios later. Let me finish this. Do we have any more questions? What are other things that you would like to see? Ask questions about in terms of design or the design industry. Do you have any other questions? Other things that you would like to talk about?
May I ask?
Go, Samya.
Soumya here.
Yeah, I can hear you.
When you talked about the portfolio,
Mhm.
I had started making it, but I'm not getting enough details to put into it because I'm a bit confused on what projects I should actually put in there and what not to. Because I have done a variety of work. I do paintings, I do all these posters, banners, thumbnails, I do photography. So I was thinking to put all three of these names, but not getting the hang of it. Can you just guide a little bit?
Okay. Of all the works of all your works, Samya, do you have some works that you feel are your best work and some works that are not very good?
Yes, sir, I do have.
Okay. So put the works that you feel are the best on your portfolio and don't put the ones that you don't feel are very good. It's very simple. This applies to all of you. If you're worried about what to put on your portfolio, put only the work you've done commercially and put only the personal work that you believe is good. If you believe that there is commercial or personal work that you've done that isn't good enough to go in a portfolio, don't put it there. That's it. Don't overcomplicate your portfolios. The first job of your portfolio is to represent you as a designer. So you want to show off your best work, right?
Right.
ठीक है? Don't इसको ज़्यादा overthink मत करो सौम्या. Like put the best possible work you can do there. ठीक है?
Because
That's
I
it.
haven't done too much of commercial work. I have done
It
it for my
doesn't
friends and other
It
things.
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's something you wrote in a notebook. It doesn't matter if it's something you drew for fun. It doesn't matter if you did something for money or not. If you believe it's good enough to be shown to the outside world, put it in your portfolio. That's it. Don't
All
don't
right,
over,
sir.
don't overthink it. And keep in mind, Samya, you are how old are all of you? 18, 19?
Yeah, I'll turn 18 this November.
All of you are 18, right? None of you have like actual careers yet. So this is for the UG students. I mean, this applies to the PG students also, right? You're only in your early 20s. Your best possible work goes on your portfolio. And because you're all UG and PG students, you don't have careers yet. You're still learning. You're very early in your
Right.
education, design education. So it means you can only put up what limited commercial work you've done. A lot of your work is going to be personal or educational work. So those
Yes.
have to go on to, and so put the best works on your portfolio. That's it, full stop. And again, by the way, this comes back to the only way I know how to get better at design is you just keep making things. So the one of the best ways to improve, make a better portfolio is to keep making better designs, because the more design you do, the more practice you have. The more practice you have, the better your works. The better your works, the better your portfolio. Guys, I'll be honest. There is only one guaranteed method to become a better designer. That's do the work, do the research, do the work, do the research, execute, execute, execute. The quality of your execution is the most important responsibility of a designer. Ideas are easy. तुम लोगों के पास हजारों ideas आएंगे, and I guarantee that every single one of those ideas has been done 20,000 times before. Ideas don't mean anything. Ideas are a waste of time. Anybody can come with ideas. My 5-year-old nieces and nephews come up with better ideas than I do, but they can't execute like I do. The quality of your execution is the most important responsibility of a designer. Ideas are irrelevant. They don't matter. How good you are at it. You can have the best idea on the planet. None of that matters if you aren't good enough to execute on it. And because as designers, the reality is that you will be 99.99% working in teams with other designers, developers, artists, writers, learning how to execute at a good quality level, learning how to communicate your execution to other people, non-designers, or to other fields that you will be working with on a day-to-day basis. And because so much of design is digital, all of you will be working with programmers and developers and engineers on a day-to-day basis. One of the best things you can do for yourself today, especially for those of you who come from non-technical, non-engineering backgrounds or have not done programming before, one of the best things you can do for yourself is understand how programming and software engineering works. Because if you're going to UI UX, guess what? You'll be working with engineers and developers on websites, phones. You go into games, guess what? Who makes games? Programmers. You go into visual effects, films, television. Who puts together all these things online? Oh, guess what? Engineers. No matter you go into print, who has to put together these things for the website, for the magazine printing software, and for the newspaper printing software? Who do you think does that? Engineers. Engineers and developers are the most critical working relationship all of you as designers will build. You don't have to become programmers or software engineers yourself, but give yourself a basic understanding of how engineering and software engineering works. And because the better you understand the engineering side, the better designers you will be. All right. So what other questions do you have? Because I think we have 10 more minutes. And while in the meantime, I'm asking query, can we message chat to join to form some amongst us? Session starts. Well, Aditya is saying that you want to all be in a WhatsApp group, but okay, by the way, those of you who would like me to look at portfolios, put your portfolio links in chat, please, and I'll go quickly do like 1 or 2 minute reviews. So Aditya is making an unofficial thing. That is not my decision. This is entirely up to you. But those of you who would like to do some basic portfolio reviews, Dalo. And in fact, while I'm doing that, I will also load up my work in progress portfolio so we can make this a fair exercise. Give me 1 second. All of you put your portfolio links in chat. I can't review them if you don't put your portfolio links in chat. Okay, so Kanya has put hers up. Aditya's, Varun's. I'll just reshare my screen, so give me 1 second. And I will move all of you to the other monitor, and I will screen share this one so I can click on screen 2. Can all of you see my screen? So I'm just loading my work in progress portfolio because I'm rebuilding from scratch. So you can see, I'll give you an idea of like what I'm thinking of in terms of basic, where did my, oh wow, the edit side. So you can see like what's the basic idea that I'm thinking of and what kind of structure I'm thinking. Asim, okay, Aditya, what Asim has said for the time being, don't put phone numbers in the chat. So this WhatsApp thing, please do it separately. So what Asim has said. So anyone putting phone numbers in your chat, don't do that. So I've just started rebuilding my portfolio from scratch. Like there's nothing much you can see, but you can see I have a basic layout on the left. I want to keep my portfolio very simple. I want to keep it very straightforward, and I'll give you a rough idea where I have been designing. So this is a tool called Inkscape. It's an open source vector editor. And I am trying to find, to give me a second. Where did I put? When I find the file, I'll find it for you. But I had a portfolio file that I wanted to find. Give me 1 second. Where is, give me 1 second, please. I'm trying to find my portfolio. So just give me 1 second and then we will resume. Where is it? Where is it? Ah, I got it. Is this the right one? Let me check. Yeah, got it. So what you're seeing here is me trying out different portfolio layouts, right? Like what kind of portfolios I want to make. No matter what kind of designs you want to do, always do a rough, super rough layout of if you're doing something digital, right? So you can see like a summary of like, maybe I want to show it off. You land very limited images on the top, but a major focus on previews and images of portfolios, maybe a different layout. This one is a very simple horizontal layout. This is a combination of like vertical and, or maybe something bigger like this, where it's like one project at a time is focused on, or maybe massive like dedicated space to each individual project which you scroll through. The idea is always explore what your options are, right? And how you want to do it. Okay, let's take a look at some of your portfolios. So we will start with Sukanya because that's the first one link here. So perfect introduction is perfectly fine, Sukanya, but my main question is that why am you asking? My first instinctive response is, okay, I have your name, I have your face, fine. And I have your link to your bio and a link to your artworks. But why are you, now that I'm already in your portfolio, why are you making me click again to access your work instead of directly letting me go to your work, right? Now here I've got to your bio and here you want me to go to your Instagram. Why is it that every accessible link takes me somewhere else, which takes me somewhere else, which takes me somewhere else, which takes me somewhere else? For example, your artworks. Hifajab, nice. I like your artworks. I like that you've listed them. I like that you're going through them. I like that you've given a one-line summary, like, one paragraph summary, sorry. But the question is, why are you making me click on things I'm already in a portfolio. Why is your name not in the top left, your photo in the top left, and a list of your projects on the left here? So that I can immediately, on coming to your portfolio, I can immediately jump between your different projects, so I can immediately see what kind of work you are. Here, I'm coming here, you're giving me an opportunity to like not see your work. Why I should not be clicking on artworks to see your work. They should already be on a list on your left. So for example, Anupa John, who is an incredible graphic designer and illustrator who works out of Bangalore. She's also a good friend. This is a portfolio. She's been doing this for 15 years. I have her name, I have a link to about, but on the left, I have an access to all her works. And what she's done here is she's given a few logo and brands that she's worked on recently. With one click onto her portfolio website, I instantly know the type of designer she is. I have your name and face here. I have no idea what kind of designer you are. I have to either click on your bio and get an introduction, but it's a separate page. Or if I want to see your artworks on a separate page, and if I want to go to your Instagram, I have to go here, I have to click on artist bio, then I have to click on Instagram to see your works on Instagram. Put all your works instantly on the front page so that I know I have an idea of what kind of designer you are. Your work is clearly interesting, but you are making me go through extra steps to go through it. Don't do that, because getting jobs and getting people interested in your work, you want them to understand who you are, right? Good works, interactive and accessibility, not very good. So let's improve on that. Okay, let's take a look at Aditya's portfolio. So we have welcome to the realm of infinite awesomeness. Aditya, we're not 14 anymore, so let's not write things like this. Can you give me 1 second, all of you? Aditya, we're not 14 anymore, so let's remove things like this. Second, Aditya, you have got this cute little like clip thing, like post-it notes and like messy things around here. I like the look and feel. Well, Aditya, if you made it 2 to 3 years back, then it's time to remake it from scratch. That's the other reason that's why I'm also rebuilding from scratch, and that's why I'm exploring different ideas of portfolio designs. Because I also made mine many years ago and I realized it was, I haven't done it in a long time. So one, we're not high school anymore. We're adults now. So let's put better language. Two, don't put things like this are actually fine, but don't block out the words that you want me to read, right? Second, if you same feedback as I gave Sukanya, why are you making me click a second or a third time to see your work? Right? Why do I have to go to a separate page to read about you? And by the way, you're just a student. What makes you think I'm going to read all this? ये किताब में क्यों पढ़ूंगा? ये क्या है? What is this? What makes you think that I'm going to go through this? Your portfolios, I want to see your work. And what is this? Why would I want to read all this education? I want to see your work. Right? Interests and hobbies. I have no interest in these things. I want to see your skills and expertise. And this 100% I want to see. But don't tell me about your skills. Show me your skills. Okay. So make sure you put your actual works. Strengths and weaknesses. I don't care about these. These I can see in your work. I know this is very old and you made it when you were a lot younger. So let's make it a little bit more grown up. Yeah. Okay. Varun, let's take a look at yours. Oh, Notion portfolio. Not bad. You're a passionate design UI UX designer. Okay. Varun, text. Is there a reason, Varun, where, hi, I'm Varun, I'm a junior UX UI designer. Is there a reason why this is not your immediately, why are the next two sections not these? Why are you making me read through multiple lines of text before I get to your projects and UX work? सीधा ऊपर पे डालो. 2-3 bullet points, more than good enough. But you don't need to tell me what your skills are. Show me what your skills are. Directly have this underneath. Or second, I can see that, don't tell me here that I've used these type of things. Things like prompt engineering, everybody knows how to use AI. What does prompt engineering even mean? Right? Phrases that are still not in common everyday use. It's very easy to say, I know exactly how to tell an AI tool to, generate what you need. Well, congratulations, but everyone can do that, or everyone will learn how to do that. There is nothing special about this. Every designer on the planet uses Figma, Notion, or Adobe Illustrator. You're not special. Every designer has to do user research. जो चीजें obvious हैं आपके काम में, उनको टेक्स्ट में क्यों डाल रहे हो? Yeah, junior UI UX designer, Varun. Obviously, that means you are a UI UX skill set. There's no point repeating this. All UI UX designers have to wireframe a prototype. All user designers have to think about design systems. All designers have to think about these things. You're putting skills that every designer does on a day-to-day basis. There is nothing special you're gaining by putting this. This entire section is a waste. I want to see this. I want to see these things where I can see how you're applying these skills. This is much more important. ठीक है? जो चीजें obvious हैं, जो चीजें that designers have to do, you don't need to put those. This I want to see. And any specific things that you think that are not being covered elsewhere, वो चीजें डालो. I do like that you've summarized personality and who and what type of designer you are in 3 bullet points. For example, I'll tell you how what's my one-line introduction. Give me a second. So, for example, earlier in the day, Nian, who introduced and started this class, she asked me, Vikram, how do I introduce you? So I'll show you what I sent. This is how I introduce myself. And this is what I will also be putting on my portfolio. Let me just put this into chat. Where is the chat gone? Where is the chat gone? Let's Q&A chat. Here we go. So my portfolio will start with this. It's one paragraph, 3 sentences. That's it. I'm telling everyone who will come to my website, or they just have to read 3 lines, and then all they're going to see is my work. I have no interest in doing anything more than this. Me in one paragraph, and then I want them to look at my work and judge for themselves. I told them how many years I'm doing game design, communication design, and education. I'm telling them what platforms I'm published on, and I'm telling them what I'm now targeting, which is game consoles. And I tell them what kind of design experiences I like to do, and what my very long-term goals are, which is strengthening game development ecosystem in India, right? So all your portfolios, the primary, by the way, one thing I really like what Varun has done that I would like all of you to consider. Do you see this on the side? Many portfolio websites have these scrolling menus or widget menus that allows you to instantly jump between different sections of the website. Do this. It's very good. Because the reason you want to do this is because regardless of screen type, form, or device, this menu means I can instantly jump between separate sections of the portfolio so I can move between them faster. But my point is that your portfolio is who you are, quick summary, how long you've been doing it, what your previous successes are, what your next goal is, and what your very long-term goals are, and then your work. That's a portfolio I want to make. That's a portfolio I'm rebuilding from scratch. But if your priority is for your portfolio is jobs, then remove anything that's unnecessary. If the priority of your portfolio is more about you as a designer, you have to balance it between what you want to show versus what you want to show for jobs. But that's your choice to make. All I'm saying is don't make it unnecessarily complex for me to access your works and your projects and your portfolios. And don't put things that are obvious that every designer on the planet has to do. ये मत करो. यार डिजाइनर हो, ये सारी चीजें करनी है. It's obvious. एक काम में कैसे ये चीजें अप्लाई करिए, ठीक है? So I really like, Varun, that you have, with very limited scrolling, I can access your work, but you have an entire section here that's a complete waste. You don't need this. And it's always better to show off skills with icons. Don't put Adobe Illustrator, Figma, and Notion in words. Put the Figma, Notion, Adobe Illustrator icons. This also gives a little bit of visual flair. Wherever you can put a visual, this applies to all of you. Wherever you can put a visual that will cover what you've done in words, use the visual. It's better because it's faster and images will always communicate faster than words. All right, any other portfolio reviews? Or Asim, are we out of time?
We can end the session now.
Okay, so quick wrap up. First of all, I hope you enjoyed that. Do you have any last minute questions or feedbacks or anything that you would like me to ask or give me feedback on? Or was there something specific aspect of my introductory webinar that you did like or did not like? So it's important for me also because I believe I have a second session with them on the 2nd, correct? Is this the same group?
Next Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I will be seeing you on next Wednesday because what I want to do is I want to take the feedback from all of you, and anything that you did like, I will do more. Anything that you didn't like or didn't understand, I will do better next time. So first, what kind of things did you believe that you learned new today or did not think of before? So I'd like some feedback. So what did you learn today? Something new or something you didn't think about before? And by the way, something you're going to learn in all my classes that Nian will tell you very openly about is if one of you doesn't talk in the next 5 seconds, or by the time these fingers are done, I will pick a random name and that person will talk. So 5, 4, 3, 2.
So should I say?
Simran, no chatting. We're wrapping up, so use the voice. Samya, what did you say?
Shall I just share my point?
Sure. No. Don't ask for permissions, Samya. We're not in school
Okay.
anymore. You're adults now. Speak. We're not in school.
Yeah. So I enjoyed the little details that we never noticed. You made us realize the things that we never noticed.
Such as?
such as the what we do from just getting up from our bed to the bathroom, or the resolutions or the qualities of the phone that we look into while buying it and then just forget about it while using it.
Right?
So
Okay.
it was a nice realization, and rest other guidance that you gave us about the portfolios. Now that I looked at others and you gave me the guidance, now I'll have more on what to make in mind.
Okay, that's good. Simran, you
So
wrote
thank
how
you
to.
for it.
No, you're welcome. Simran, you wrote how to do research, but you're going to have to be more specific. And something I'm going to repeat a lot, and I will repeat it again next week. Yeah, you can't just say how to do research, or you can't just say, these simple high level things. What do you mean by how to do research? Specifically, Simran, what are you referring to?
Like, sir, as we have worked from the very small details to big details, we have gone through like how we started our day, how we ended day, and what we have ended day. Like, if I talk about that phone resolutions, what we have just so for future as well, we will work on it and all.
Okay. So understanding like the specifics and technical details of the kind of work you will present your work on. Good. Okay. Any other things?
Hello?
Yeah, Shreya, go on.
Yes, one of the things like as Simran has already said, a lot of the things that I liked have already been mentioned. One more specifically was that I do a lot of work digitally.
Okay.
So when the part of resolution came up, that actually helped me a lot because I've been currently struggling with like resolution, like what resolution I should be using on Instagram and whatever. So now I'm going to this made me realize that now I have to go and check out what resolution I'm doing my drawings in and fit them accordingly.
So here's a basic tip and this applies to all of you. If you're making anything static or graphic, right? So images, not GIFs, not videos. So anything static, make it as high resolution as possible. So for example, make it at 2K or 4K resolution, because then what that means is because almost everything is at 2K or less, the vast majority of devices 2K or less. So if you make it at 2K, when you scale it down from 2K, it means that you will not lose detail and quality in your work, or make it even higher resolution at 4K, क्योंकि वो downscale. क्योंकि अगर कोई चीज 1920 by 1080 पे बनाओगे, लेकिन अगर वो 2K पे upscale करोगे, you will see pixelation, you will see quality loss, and it will become too big. Because it's much easier if you're making anything that's raster, and we will talk about raster versus vector next week. We don't need to go into that technical detail today. But that's another clear technical thing that is critical to long-term design thinking is the higher resolution you make something means the more pixels there is in that digital tool or that digital product. And because there is more, you're making it high resolution. So when you have to scale it down for a smaller device or a smaller screen, it means you will not lose detail. You will lose a lot of detail when you go from a lower resolution to high, but you will not lose detail when you go from high resolution to lower. This does not apply to vector-based work, but we will discuss that technical detail next week. Basic tip for all visual design, whether it's motion, animation, graphics, or static images. Make it at the highest resolution possible so that you retain as much detail as possible when you have to scale it down to smaller screens or smaller devices or lower resolutions. Okay? Cool.
Can I ask one more thing?
Sure.
Are there as I'm looking for some artists to study from right now?
Okay.
Can you recommend me some artists specifically in the gaming industry that I can reference from? That I can learn from?
No, references is difficult because I mean I can certainly give you names, but I don't know what kind of art you like to do. I don't know what your art style is. I don't know what your art preferences are. More critically, I think it's more important to understand where you are artistically right now in terms of skill sets. Like, can you do organic or inorganic? Can you do anatomy or not? Can you actually draw like very realistic work, or do you do very abstract work? So I think we will discuss it. We will discuss this in more detail, Shreya, next week, because next week we'll do even more technical conversations about raster, vector, style, design. So right? So we will discuss this next week. So something I would like you all to prep for next week. So it's not homework. By next week, I want you to come look at your own work, the kind of designers that you are right now, the kind of artists and designers you're right now, and where is it that you would like to go in the future? Like, what are your areas of interest? And within your areas of interest, are you interested in texturing? Are you interested in communication? Are you interested in narrative? Are you interested in animation? Are you interested in screens work, digital work, medical work, social work? What are your critical areas of interest? And then, because the more specific information and understanding I have from all of you, the better I can answer your questions relevant to your personal context. Okay? So,
So all of these
we
questions.
don't have the time today, Shreya. So just
Yeah,
come prepped with all of this for next week. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, feedbacks, comments, or things? Good, bad, ugly? Or anything else? Is there something specific that I didn't cover today you would like me to cover next week, or you would like me to cover in more detail next week?
Sir, especially this typography thing I struggle with a lot. Like people do complain.
We will be doing covering the more technical parts of design we will be doing next week. Next week we'll talk about typography, we'll talk about screens, we're gonna talk about cameras next week, basically.
Yeah.
One of the things all of you are gonna have to learn as designers is a really good understanding of cameras, camera terminology, camera composition, because cameras are common to games, apps, streaming services, television, movies, films, phones, portable devices, hardware devices, desktops, screens, and cameras. We're going to be discussing in a lot of detail next week, so don't worry about that. And it will include, we will discuss typography also, because that's becoming even more important these days.
Yes.
So basically, if all of you have so I can cover this with all of you, those of you who have more hyper-specific technical things they'd like to discuss, many of these things will be discussed next week. So leave specific technical things to next week. Is there any other specific response or feedback or things relevant to today?
So can we also discuss like any VFX of any particular movie that you can select while we are discussing for the cameras as well?
I'm happy to discuss. I will do some VFX next week and why they're important, but we'll discuss it more in the form of motion design and motion graphics, because that's more, right? Because those are technically a form of VFX. But generally, anything to do with animation and motion, which a lot of VFX is, we will be discussing that next week. Yeah.
All right, so thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Any other questions or feedbacks? If not, laptop suggestions. Anya, anything technical stuff like that, wo baad mein karo. Ye shopping recommendations we can worry about later. But generally, if you're designers, you want laptops or devices with high quality screens that, in particular, show off colors really well. A lot of laptop screens are not designed for design work. They're just designed for like good colors and watching TV and videos and YouTube and streaming services. But as designers, you want screens that are excellent at really understanding HDR, really understanding colors, that really show off colors
So,
accurately.
sir, like getting a gaming laptop would work, I guess.
Yes and no. Gaming laptops have excellent hardware. They're also monstrously large, incredibly heavy. Gaming laptops are good with color, good with HDR, but they're not necessarily good with color for designers, right?
Excuse me, sir.
Pratush, yes.
So, sir, something with OLED screen, right?
What about it?
As you were talking about the screen quality and all, I thought that something with OLED screen would
Not
definitely.
necessarily. OLED is good and is very good, but doesn't necessarily mean it's what you need, right? Depends on the requirements. But we're not going to go into these details today. And like Aseem has said, laptop specs will be shared on the first day of your actual physical classes. So what Ecole recommends for all of you as designers is also good. But we'll worry about all of this later as well. Okay, I think we're going to wrap up, because I think we're 15 minutes, a good 15 minutes past the 12:30 ending time today. But the fact that you're all still here is a good sign. So clearly you're all interested. I will see all of you next week. This was just an introduction to design thinking and the kind of critical details you need to think of as designers, which is users, consumers, research, lots and lots and lots and lots of research. Next week, and I've given you a basic introduction to some technical things today, but next week we'll deep dive into technical details. We're going to look at vector work, raster work. We're going to talk about cameras. We're going to talk about screens, and we're going to talk about interaction, because these, and both physical and digital, because these are some very critical, and animation and motion and the user experience journey, because these are all common elements to no matter what field of design you go in. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. I will see you all on the same, I believe, 2nd of July.
Yeah. Yes.
So I will see you all next Wednesday at the same time. Or is it afternoon next week?
Wednesday, same time.
Wednesday, same time. I will see all of you next week on Wednesday. And it was good to meet all of you. And I hope that you enjoy your design journey. All you should be doing for the next like 5 years is just learning. And we'll also discuss the industry and salary cultures next week as well. Don't worry about that. I know all of you will have questions, and I'm 99% sure many of you, or at least some of you, have parents and other elder family members who are going like, design kya hai, salary kya milegi, aur paise kaise banaoge? Can I see like a show of hand emoji icon? How many of you have been asked questions like this by people in your lives? Yeah, that's what I thought. At least half of you. And the ones of you not putting your hands up, I know you're all lying, so don't worry about that. I know 100% for sure that all of you have. Hello, true? Yeah, okay. That's what I thought. We will talk about this as well. Not to worry. I will answer as many of your questions as possible. I will not lie. Making money in design is not easy, but you can and will reach a point where you will make very good money, but it takes time. It takes a lot of patience. You're going to have to do a lot of work. And Ecole is a good way to get a head start on that kind of process. But these are all questions we will cover next week. So come prepared. Now that you've met me and you know what kind of designer I am and the kind of things I like to focus on, and now you have an understanding of my expectations of you, come prepared with good questions next week. Show me you did the research in your questions. And as one piece of homework, come with at least one thing between now and next Wednesday. Design one thing. I don't care what it is. Kahani, poem, image, animation, game, website, portfolio. I don't care. It can be anything. Music, audio, video, digital, interactive. जो physical चीज बनानी है और scan करना है, मेरे को दिखाना है, करो. Bring one piece of thing that you designed and talk me through it, share it with everyone here. And what we're going to do is, one of the most important things we're going to learn as a designer is group feedback. There is no such thing as a piece of design that has not been through the feedback process with people who have not been involved in this development. You have to show your work off to others so you can get feedback, take that feedback on board, learn how to take feedback, learn how to take criticism, and then improve your work based on that critique and feedback. So everyone bring at least one piece of design next week. I don't care what it is. I don't care about quality. I don't care if you spend 5 minutes on it or 5 days on it. एक चीज design lao agle hafte, so I can take you through the feedback and design process, because every designer needs to know how to take feedback and criticism. Okay. All right. It was lovely meeting you all. I will see you all next week. Thank you.